Hey everyone, welcome back to Like Us. I'm Erin, your host through these bonus episodes where each week we recap a play-by-play of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. In each episode, I track which moments feel relatable and I keep a totally unofficial scorecard to see who ends up the most like us by the finale. This is half fun, half social experiment, but really, we're just here to find out, does relatability actually make a better housewife, or does being completely unrelatable make better TV? Well, we're tracking it all season long. The points, well, they're completely made up, but the vibes are real. And by the end of the season, someone's taking home the Like Us diamond. So let's dive in. All right, so before we get into the episode, it's time for this week's confessional. And this is a new little hot mic moment segment where I bring you into what's going on in my life. So it's the beginning of the year. And to keep with my own personal tradition, I, of course, got into making my 2026 vision board. It's the latest thing I've been up to. And one of my favorite things about vision boarding, and if you haven't done a vision board before, which I feel like most people have, but if you haven't, it's basically just like finding images that really speak to you, finding words, messages, things that really allow you to align with what you want to do in the future. And that sounds really woo woo, but also it's really fun, just like arts and crafts project, right? Like you get out the Elmer's glue, you cut some things out, and you find what really aligns with where you want to be. And the thing that I really appreciate about myself is that I also am a subscriber to like Vanity Fair and Vogue. And I get a bunch of magazines to the house because I like to live like it's 1998. And so, with all of my magazines that I have, it actually makes it a lot easier for me to not have to run out when I want to make a vision board and go and cut a bunch of things. I actually already have stuff at the house. And this time, what I did differently is I actually started trimming things out of magazines months ago, like over the summer. So, I had some pieces that I cut a while back. And then I also had a moment where I just like kind of laid everything out and found things. And I was a little worried that I had too big of a board, but my visions are big because it fit the whole board. So get into a vision board session if you haven't already. It still is the new year. And let's get into the play by play. So, we open the episode in a classic Beverly Hills domestic montage. And I actually feel like this is a thing that not all of the other Housewives franchises do. And it is kind of nice to see all of the women pretending to be domestic in some way. Like Bose is teaching Lael how to drive, Rachel's FaceTiming with her son, Erika is doing laundry. And I feel like Erika doing laundry is actually a very big move for her because I'm sure that when she was Erika Girardi, she probably had people doing laundry for her for years. So it's a little bit of a humbling moment for her. And she's like, I hate this part of my life. But we all hate doing laundry. It's just, those are the facts of life. All right. So then we get into what's really happening in the episode. And we start with Jennifer Tilly arriving to Sutton's house. And one of my favorite things about this episode is that we do get a lot of friend of time. We haven't seen Jennifer or Kathy Hilton in an episode or two. And so it was nice to have them pop up. So Jennifer Tilly arrives to Sutton's house, and Sutton makes a point on camera to say that she's no longer drinking or she's revisiting her relationship with alcohol. And I feel like that's actually really interesting because it's her kind of reclaiming her narrative because the women have definitely been dragging Sutton for a little while with her like afternoon vodkas. But what makes Sutton's conversation around her alcohol so funny is that also the editors in the background decide to play what I can only call after school special music to underscore Sutton's healthy relationship. Like she's talking and it's like in the background and it's like a little hokey, but good for Sutton. So in this conversation, Sutton tells Jennifer that she's inviting everyone to Sedona. And Jennifer's like, oh, all right. All right. But it's really on brand because as Jennifer's kind of like poking at Sutton, who says she wants to make amends with Dorit, Sutton crazily pivots and chastises Jennifer for mocking her. She's like, don't mock me. And like, I don't know if Jennifer Tilly was mocking Sutton, but that's Sutton. She's very sweet, but then very tense and defensive all at once. Suddenly. We then move on to Kyle visiting Dorit. And when Kyle arrives to Dorit's house, Dorit's just making dog food. And Dorit just says that PK has been absolutely awful. She sent the kids to Florida anyway, which is what I was wanting to know. We never really got that answer. So I'm glad we found out that she sent the kids to Florida. And honestly, good for Dorit, because you got to do what you have to do. But Kyle immediately starts offering Mauricio as their mediator. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, doesn't Mauricio have houses to sell, like a business to run? Is this what he's called to do by the Lord? Like, why is he the person to be the mediator for Dorit and PK? And also, it's just starting to feel like a little he said, she said moment. Ah, drama in the mom groups continues. I do think that Dorit and PK are both standing very firm in their own versions of reality, and only time will tell. Only time will tell. We see Rachel being super mom who says she doesn't have a nanny, which I think most people don't have nannies. But if you live in a major city, it is very dramatic for a working woman to not have a nanny in this way. I know that Rachel really prides herself on being a good mom, being a good boy mom, but she's not like a boy mom in a weird way. And you totally see that when she picks up her son. He's in the car and he's like, I moisturized every day. I moisturized day and night. Trying to get the summer glow up. I love it. The other son's like, I want to get an electric bike. And she's like, like she's had enough. But I think that her relationship with her sons is really special. And I like that she speaks to them in a way that tells me that they definitely have a close relationship and trust her. The episode moves on to Jennifer Tilly and Sutton riding in the car together to arrive to Kathy Hilton's for a small dinner party. And when Sutton and Jennifer and Kathy are all speaking when they arrive, I'm just thinking to myself, like, this is true wealth. Like, this is the true wealth of Beverly Hills. And I know online, it actually like irritates me because so many people online are like, oh my God, this franchise is so boring. But we're watching esteemed ladies eat caviar in a summer dining room. Like, stop. If that's not interesting to you, I don't know what to tell you. It's these people are fascinating because it's a peek into a world we would not know without this show. And I think you need to think about that when you're complaining on the internet about like, we need more drama. No, we don't. There's enough drama. Let these women live and do drama their way, Beverly Hills way, which we see even at this dinner. We see the seeds being planted, and all signs show that Amanda's in for a rude awakening because even though she arrives and the producers ask her if she ever feels uncomfortable or like a fish out of water in these fancy Beverly Hills situations, she says, no, I belong in every room I want to be in, which is such a perfect little mantra. And Amanda can be too much, but she does have this way about her of dropping these really great mantras. And so I'm going to give her a relatability point for that because that's my truth. My truth is also, I belong everywhere I am. If I'm there, I belong. That's me. And I actually think in that way, Amanda and Bose probably have more in common than maybe Amanda would think and what maybe Bose would think. And you can't judge a book by its cover. They move to the summer dining room. They're eating outside. Kathy mentions that they've lived in that house for 18 years, and it's the longest she's ever lived anywhere. And Amanda responds by trying to connect with Kathy because she moved into Kyle Richards' old house, which obviously it's Kathy's sister. So Amanda being like,
it's such a great house. I thought I was just going to renovate it, give it what it needed, and move along. And now we're getting attached. I've made really beautiful decisions.
Amanda, you may belong in every room, but that doesn't mean just because you belong that you don't have to read the room. Read the room. Kathy's looking at this girl like, I knew she didn't just talk crap about my sister's house, who I just finished saying, wasn't it a great house? She's like, oh, it's such a great house, but I thought I was going to flip it. It's like, girl, stop it. Stop it. Jennifer then asks Amanda what she thinks of everyone in the group. And Amanda revisits her encounter with each and every person. But when she finally lands on Erika, she kind of gives it this, oh, I don't know. I feel like Erika was trying to be mean to me. Like, she definitely frames it as a form of intimidation. But on rewatch, when the editors kind of do Erika a solid, it doesn't feel like Erika is being mean. It feels like Erika's just being Erika. She's a little aloof, and she's not warm, but like she's not mean. And I like that Jennifer Tilly, who I'm going to start calling Gentle, she was like, if Amanda thinks that that's Erika being mean, she doesn't know. She doesn't know what Erika can give. What I also liked is that Sutton actually defends Erika right in the moment, like a real sister. And she says, Really? If you think that you got Erika in that moment, and she kind of like calls her out, and Amanda, then it kind of gets quiet, but she says in her confessional, like, oh, Sutton and Erika, blah, blah, blah. Like she like kind of makes a point. And it's like, Amanda, stop it. You know, you watched the show. You know that Sutton and Erika just started being friends. And obviously she's going to have her Southern sisters back, girl. And you're kind of talking a little crap. You're kind of talking a little crap. And if you don't dig it, if you can't take it, Kathy's not gonna correct Amanda. She's just gonna let Amanda flounder and then decide she doesn't like her very much. But Sutton's a little kooky. She doesn't play like that. What I like though is in this moment, and this is how I know that Gentile and Sutton are friends, because Gentile says to Sutton, "Okay, Reba," and it's like a perfect reference to Sutton's mom, who is also a very cold, sharp lady. Dinner ends, and Kathy hands out gifts, and Amanda grabs the load of things and says, "Oh my God, I look great in a baseball hat." And I have personally probably said that out loud more times than I want to admit. And I would give Amanda a point here, but then I'd have to take that point away because the new rule, points can be lost. And Amanda, as we're all packing for Sedona, Amanda, I need to take a breath. Amanda put her sneakers. She put her sneakers, her tennis shoes, bottom down. The soles of the shoes were on her bed near her pillow. On her bed near her pillow. Ew. I cannot bear it. I don't want to see it again, actually. Amanda, I don't want to see it again. So I'm going to take the baseball hat point away because, baby, what is you doing? Ugh. Lord giveth, Lord taketh. Travel day. Everyone arrives to the private airplane and everyone's waiting for Dorit because she's late. But in the meantime, Rachel narrates all of the outfits like a proud camp counselor. She's like, and Kyle looks like this, and Kathy looks like that, and Erika looks like this, and Amanda's in all logos. Which, honestly, Dorit used to be in all logos, too. And maybe it's a rite of passage. It won't be my rite of passage, but maybe it's a rite of passage. Relatable to someone, not me. Jennifer brings up in her room with Sutton and Sedona that Erika had a tabloid photo with her and a new man. And the new man's nickname is Shrek. I believe that this actually was an NBC Universal crossover moment. It was one of the best ones I've ever seen, actually. She said, you know what the man's nickname is? I know who pays these bills around here. It's Shrek. And I'm surprised they didn't just pop up a Shrek graphic. That's what they could have done. If there was pop-up video, they could have popped up a Shrek graphic. I feel like a pop-up video style version of Real Housewives would actually be so good. Do you remember the show Pop-Up Video? Pop-Up Video. That's what I think we need it just once. Rachel's on FaceTime with Kyle and Erika, and she says, FedEx clothes didn't arrive. I FedExed my clothes because I overpacked. I packed so much stuff. I needed to FedEx it here to Sedona. I didn't know we were in the middle of nowhere. Now I have nothing. As someone who also overpacks, I understand. I've never actually shipped my luggage anywhere. But even if I travel somewhere, like people who are like, oh my God, I can just do everything in a carry-on. That's great. I probably could do everything in a carry-on, but I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. It was relatable. Point for Rachel. Kathy is in her room, not answering her FaceTime, but she's unpacking her own pillows. And this is also a big Like Us. I feel like the older you get, the more you grow to appreciate a good pillow and a good night's rest. And you're not going to always get a good night's rest if you're sleeping on a bad pillow. Like, oh my gosh, if you're sleeping on a bad pillow, you might not sleep at all. You know what I mean? You might be staying awake, tossing and turning. And this is not an ad because they're not sponsoring me, but I did do an influencer campaign 5 years ago. So it was like a billion years ago. So they're really not sponsoring this. But this brand called Coop gifted me 2 pillows. The pillows are like $80. They might be cheaper now, but they were like $80 at the time. And they are the best pillows in the world. I did force my husband to buy these pillows because they are that good. When we go on road trips, the pillows are coming. But when you get on an airplane, oh, man, it's hard. It's hard. I sometimes consider Amazoning pillows to wherever I'm staying because I do miss my Coops because they are the best pillows in the world. So everyone gets ready for dinner. We also see that Kyle has also overpacked. She's brought like 10 pairs of shoes. Rose is giving herself a fertility shot. And everyone arrives to the dinner. It's 91 degrees. There's crystals covering the table. Dorit notices there's prizes on the bottom. Like Kyle jokes, oh my God, maybe we should go shopping while we're at dinner. And then Amanda just blurts out, I've spent $10,000 on crystals in one setting. And everyone's like, what? And Erika makes fun of her in her confessional because it just, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, who cares? And the thing is like, I feel like so many people give Housewives a bad rep. And part of it is like these moments. But crystals have existed for thousands of years, like across cultures. They have spiritual, symbolic, aesthetic meaning. Like people use them for grounding, for intentions, for rituals. Like, you know what I mean? There's a lot more meaning to crystals. And so like they're not really, even though they are a flex, you're not supposed to flex with them. Like that, it's a little gauche. And especially in a room full of women who like, they're so wealthy. A lot of these women have been wealthy for decades. And so it just lands wrong. And it's not because of the crystals. It's just because of the context. It's like, Amanda, yet again, yes, babe, you belong in every room you want to be in, but that doesn't give you permission to not read the room. Like mentioning the price tags, such a rookie move. And I started getting into like more of the history of the crystals. And so we're going to take like a quick break from the Sedona drama and talk about the crystals of it all. Think of this as like your 2-minute Hot Girl NPR briefing. So the obsession with vibrations, it is not a new age TikTok trend. It's actually quite vintage. The Sumerians, which is like Mesopotamia, were documenting lapis lazuli back in 3000 BC. And then the ancient Egyptians used quartz and burial tombs for protection. But then here's the part that's going to make you sound really smart at a dinner party. Crystals do have a relationship with energy, but it's actually more mechanical than spiritual. In 1880, the Curie brothers discovered the piezoelectric effect. And basically, if you put pressure on a crystal, it creates electricity. And that's why quartz is the thing that's inside your watch and your printer. But when it comes to like the healing part of it, it pains me to say this, but this is just the science of it all, right? So in the healing part of it, it's likely a placebo effect. They did a study by CC French, and it showed that people felt a change in energy, even from cheap glass fakes. And so even if you had a real gem or something cheap, it's really that if a crystal makes you feel grounded, that's your brain doing the work. It's not the rock. But that's exactly why Amanda's brag is so icky, because crystals are supposed to be about like the grounding and spiritual connection. So when you brag about a $10,000 price tag on a spiritual tool, you've kind of stripped it of its purpose and you've turned it into like a really weird status symbol. And Amanda trying to purchase enlightenment, forgetting that the most powerful part of a crystal is the intention itself, and that is totally free. Yuck. So anyways, long story short, if you believe that crystals work, they work. And if not, you can still meditate anyways. Whatever you do, do not brag about the price tag at a dinner. It's just tacky. As Gentile said, it's crass. Anyway, speaking of identity and status symbols, let's pivot to Sutton. She's officially toasting to being Sutton Brown again. So what's interesting about Sutton reclaiming her maiden name is kind of the timeline. She married her high school sweetheart, and they got married when they were 29. So when you hear that Sutton was with her high school sweetheart, it makes you feel like they got married super young, but they didn't. Like, she was almost 30, and she spent a good chunk of adulthood being Sutton Brown for all intents and purposes. I mean, granted, for 16 years, she was Mrs. Stracke, and I do feel like it's clear that she identified with building him up into who he was, which is he's currently, I looked this up, a managing director of an investment firm that's worth $2 trillion. But to be clear, that's not his personal bank account, but those jobs do pay incredibly well. And I feel like, you know, the men in those roles, like they're usually gone a lot. So Sutton was probably living a very specific life as a corporate wife. And she finally admits this episode in this moment of her saying, I'm now Sutton Brown, and Sutton Brown is good enough. She's like kind of coming to terms with returning to her roots in a lot of ways. And in this, she actually gets really vulnerable, and she admits that her insecurities got in the way of her making friends with a lot of these women. And she confessed that she never felt cool or pretty enough. And I think that that makes a lot of sense because she did have a lot of beef with Erika, and she had a lot of beef with Dorit. And it always felt really forced to me. Like, even like last season when she told Dorit, like, why don't you argue with someone whose wallet fits? Like, well, now we have the context. I also think she said that because she's lost every friend she had in the group. Like, she only had one friend, and that friend left. So she does need to make amends and try to move forward with the women. especially if she's trying to align with who she was before living in the shadow of this man. I think it's a vulnerable pivot for Sutton. And I think it's actually kind of nice to see her try to find who she identifies with. And we're seeing a lot from these women actually right now, just in general. They're all kind of trying to figure out who they are when their marriages end or when the money situation changes. And I think that there's something really deep there going on underneath the surface with all of them, even with Bose, who maybe she's not dealing with a man or money. She's dealing with like her fertility, which is like so connected to her womanhood. And Sutton's dealing with not being someone's lady and maybe her ex remarrying someone. And Erika went through the ringer with her ex. And Dorit is no longer the hot young thing for PK. And so that's really dramatic. And Kyle and Mauricio have their issues. And so I do feel like there's a lot of just like inner turmoil that they're very much all dealing with. That's kind of always underneath all conversations going on. We finally have a talk that's a little bit more positive. Erika has a new man, and he's a former Delta Force soldier. I looked him up. He's been on the Joe Rogan podcast. He's been on the Megyn Kelly podcast. One of the clips I saw of him was, I've read in the comments, was basically like, oh my God, John Wick fears this guy. Oh my God, PTSD fears this guy. Because he was just talking about how much he enjoyed being good at war, basically. I always saw Erika with an artist. But I don't know. I guess maybe she did need to be with a man who made her feel safe so that she could be an artist. And I do think that Tom, at his best, was probably Erika's protector. And Erika's like tough as nails, you know, so she does probably need a guy whose feelings won't get hurt easily. The drama is already kind of starting to brew, though. And I can see the seeds that are being planted for what happens later in the season, because it's revealed as Erika's talking about her dating this new guy, Dorit's in her confessional saying, well, Erika never told Kyle or me this. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. But Erika does things her own way. I guess I just never found out. And then Kyle in her confessional is like, oh yeah, I saw those tabloid photos, but I already knew. And you're like, oh, okay, so Dorit doesn't know. But the thing that I think about with Dorit, Kyle, and Erika is Erika went through a lot. Kyle went through a lot. Dorit's been through a lot. I could see Erika being able to have more empathy for what Kyle's going through, and Kyle being able to have more empathy for what Erika is going through. And in the empathy that they have for each other, learning how to show up in the way that their friend needs them to and not in the way that they just want to. Whereas Dorit, I think, also has empathy for what everyone is going through. But I think Dorit shows up with her friendships in the way she wants to, which might not be exactly what they need, right? And so in that way, if someone has new news to share, they might not share with the friend who's not going to show up in the way that they need them to, like how Erika and Kyle have with each other. And I think that we're going to see how that plays out for the rest of the season in a way that's really interesting. Now, all the ladies start picking at Erika about the new guy, asking a lot of questions. And surprisingly, Erika's very warm about it. She gives the guy's first and last name. She's like, yeah, like it's still kind of new, but I like him. And like, she's pretty honest about her feelings. And I think that's surprising, especially considering online so much of what people are talking about in that Erika is dating a new guy is that like, oh, she's not going to talk about him on the show. He's not on the show, blah, blah. But it's like, she's talking quite a bit about him on the show, though. That was a lot of information. We're going to see where that drama of Kyle, Erika, and Dorit goes. But for now, let's bring it back to the data. Did anyone actually feel like one of us this week? Let's check the tally. And remember, like, whose line is it anyway? The points, they don't really matter. But I'm keeping them. And this week, we actually ended up what I thought in a 5-way tie, but in talking this through, I do feel like Sutton's vulnerability should also get her point. So a 6-way tie. Amanda for the I belong in every room I want to be in. Love that. Erika for her hatred of laundry. Yes, don't we all? Kyle and Rachel overpacking. So relatable. Kathy for the BYOP, because sometimes you got to bring your own pillow. Sometimes you got to BYOP. I want to love you. BYOP. And I'm going to give Sutton also a Like Us, because I do feel like her moment of vulnerability of talking about not feeling pretty or cool enough made her not be able to make friends. And I think that that moment of vulnerability should be rewarded with a point. So everyone walks away with 5 points today. If you're playing along, update your scorecards. I'll post mine on social so you can see the breakdown. And if you're not keeping score, you honestly can jump in whatever. The season's pretty long. By the end, we are crowning the most relatable housewife of Beverly Hills. And whether that's a good or bad thing, we'll see. Okay, but before you go, If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, and share it with your favorite Housewives group chat. It genuinely helps more than you think. And make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you don't miss next week's recap. And coming out with me at Like Us Pod and at Erin Jones Wesley. That's where the scorecards and my intrusive thoughts live between episodes. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you next week.